Howdy folks, I am Paul and
Grace.
from Easy Acres Homestead, and Grace has been here at the homestead now for 180 days. So before you came out to the homestead, tell me a bit about your life before coming out to Easy Acres.
Yeah, so my whole life I've lived in suburban, rural areas in the Northeast, and I had a soft introduction to off-grid living when I lived in a school bus for 8 months. And that was when I was living on a Mustang sanctuary where I was working full-time to care for and train BLM Mustangs. But in between living in the school bus and coming out here, I was just living in a suburban home in New York. I had all the comforts of your average home.
So completely different kind of lifestyle change for you. Tell me about some of the challenges and adjustments to living off-grid.
Yeah, so a lot of those adjustments happened when I was living in the school bus. So in my school bus, there was no plumbing or potable water. So I actually had to buy and haul all of the water that I used. That experience made me really good at stretching out my gray water and finding multiple uses for it. Coming out here, it's been great to be able to use clean snow and melt that. And it's also been great to have the seasonal creek that's there in the winter.
Right.
It's really nice to not have to buy my water and actually use the water that's just here in nature.
Yeah.
And heating was another big change. So on my school bus, I had diesel heating that just came with the bus, but that only worked about half the time. Electricity was super limited, and I can't tell you how many nights I kept myself warm from the 10-degree weather with a little buddy heater.
Oh, a little buddy heater, yeah.
Using those little 32-ounce propane cans.
The little green Coleman cans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had a video. One of the first videos I made was on how to refill those, right?
Yeah, actually, I started watching your channel when I was living in the bus. So living in the bus is what kind of
cool.
opened my mind to living like this, because I was
Right.
actually really happy there. And I remember when I watched your video, I just looked over at my pile of empty 32-ounce cans with some level of guilt, but I do still have those cans.
Oh, man, what would the Lorax say? That's really funny. I love it.
Yeah. So now, instead of getting up every 5 hours to refill my propane tank, we take turns to add wood to the wood stove.
It's mostly me, but mostly me. But if it's cold enough, she will get out of bed and throw a log in the fire,
It's
that's for sure.
mostly you. But yeah, again, it's really nice to not have to buy all of my heat and to be able to cut down dead standing wood with you and
Right.
use that to heat ourselves.
We get free permits every year from the National Forest Ranger Office. It's great.
Yeah. And there's nothing like wood heat.
Oh, it's
so
special,
nice.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. So, Grace, one of the most common questions I get when I tell people that I live off-grid without any utilities or anything is they say, where do you go to the bathroom? What do you do about water? How do you wash yourself? It seems really mysterious that people are able to do this without an enormous support system above them. So what can you tell us about that?
Actually, that's been one of the easier things for me to adjust to. When I was in the school bus, there was a porta potty, so there was no effort on my part, but I did have to adjust to leaving the warmth of my home in the dead of a winter night to use the bathroom outside. Here, it's been actually really nice to burn my waste. It's cathartic in a way, and I love to know that biochar is going to be recycled into amending our soil. That's really
right.
nice.
Yeah, guys, I don't know how it happened, but there's a cute girl burning her own waste at my homestead. Oh, yeah. Digging it.
And when it comes to washing up, I don't mind getting dirty, but I like to be clean
Oh,
at
yeah.
the end of
yeah.
the night.
Hygiene's really important to both of us.
Yeah. And when I used to camp in the low desert, I learned to fully wash myself using a half gallon of water or less. And you really can get fully clean off a trickle stream of water, trust me. And wearing protective hairstyles can also help you reduce your need to
It's a big deal.
shampoo and shower. And then when I came out here, I brought out an old kimchi tub.
Yeah.
And I take baths in that, just like at Harmony's house in rural Korea.
Just like Grandma's house. Yeah.
Exactly. On average, I'd say I use about a gallon of water to
Maybe
wash
2.
myself. When
Yeah.
I'm feeling really fancy, I'll use 2 gallons to wash myself. But I think that's less than the average toilet flush.
Yeah, for a modern low flow toilet, I think it is
Yeah.
about 2 gallons. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love my little bird baths in front of the wood stove. I do
Yeah.
get fully clean, and it feels good to know that I'm really not using a lot of water.
Yeah.
And that water, like everything else, gets reused as gray water.
Oh yeah, we don't just toss water from bathing. It goes back into the garden and feeds us. Yeah. So before this, Grace, I'd say we were both fairly independent people, right? I mean, yeah. What's it like to share 160 square feet with a new guy that you met over the internet?
Yeah, so that was definitely a big risk coming out here. But I'm a big risk taker, and sometimes when you take a big risk, you get to experience something really amazing. And I would say that as someone who regularly takes these risks, there's a lot of risk management that goes into it. So on the surface, it might have seemed like this crazy deep plunge, but actually there was a lot of steady training and acclimation within my own self, a lot of discussions between us that made this go pretty smoothly.
We used to call each other and watch K-dramas together.
Yeah, we talked for like 10 hours a day on
Yeah.
some days. And in those talks, we didn't just have fun and get to know each other. We also talked about some of the things that might be issues coming up, like sharing space. I can't tell you how much I've reorganized and organized my things to pare down all of my materials into just the essentials that can fit into this cabin.
Yeah.
But I still find space for my 10-step Korean skincare, my nail polish, and my jewelry. But honestly, some of the times when I've really wanted my own space is when we have conflicts. Like in any growing relationship, we're still getting to know each other and figure out how to be a team. And thankfully, we both have the emotional maturity to give each other space, even when the space is really limited. So
Right.
I think that's been a big key.
And when I built this whole cabin and homestead and planned this whole thing, I only ever had provisions for one person, and that was me. So now that Grace is here with me, we have a lot of projects that we're planning to really expand what we're doing out here. So if you are not subscribed, make sure you do that so you don't miss it. So you had pretty realistic expectations coming into the whole thing, but I'm just curious, what's been the most shocking or surprising kind of thing living off-grid?
Yeah, so the most surprising, shocking thing that I've never experienced is actually being unable to leave the homestead at certain times of the year because of road conditions.
Yeah.
Never have I had
Snow.
to deal with that. Like when you had, like at one point in February for 24 days straight, we couldn't leave.
24 days, it's like a whole month.
Yeah, and that's when you snowshoed, and I didn't have snowshoes, so I couldn't come, and just that was such a huge shock to me. Like, I'm used to skydiving in the winter.
Right.
I'm used to doing whatever I want. So being truly confined was new for me. And even
Not another human around for like 5 miles either,
Yeah. And even in the beginning of the winter, me and Maidu used to go on these lovely little winter runs. We did a little bit of archery early in the winter, and I thought, yeah, it's going to be like this all the time. As soon as that snow got waist deep, that was really different for me. I didn't want to be outside.
It literally was about your waist, huh?
Yeah, and it just my clothes would get wet,
Yeah.
they wouldn't dry,
Yeah.
and for the first time in my life, archery was not a year-round sport because I didn't want to lose all
You'll
my
just
arrows.
lose all your arrows.
Yeah, and so being confined to the indoors was very new for me, but it also led to me getting some of the deepest rest that I've ever gotten in my life, rest that my body has been begging me to take for years. And I really cherish those memories of playing Skyrim or like just binging Skyrim.
I had to do a lot of effort to try to get her to do something other than a sneak archer, but
There's nothing wrong with
there's
that
nothing wrong with
approach.
that.
You know, I have self-preservation instincts, so.
anyway. So a lot of people out there are really curious about this off-grid homesteading sort of lifestyle. If there's anybody out there who might be kind of planning on taking the plunge or buying some land, what advice would you have for them?
Yeah, that's really big. I would say to get to know yourself through lived experiences because daydreams and fantasies are different from reality. And start with what you have in front of you. I remember when I was renting a home, I wasn't even allowed to dig in my own backyard.
Right.
So I had houseplants and I crafted indoors and
Yeah.
I cooked from dried foods all the time.
I really believe even if you're in an apartment, like a patio herb garden, that is a step towards self-sufficiency, you know. So just because you don't have the space or the materials available to you, I don't think that's a reason why you can't practice some aspects of self-sufficiency. You know, something I think would help a lot of people too is learning to be content with enough. What I mean by that is, during that time when we were snowed in, for a while we were eating kind of meager, as rice and beans and that sort of thing. So, if you can be content eating rice and beans, and appreciating all that's around you, and to have a gratitude for every new day, I think that'll make you successful out here.
Yeah, I remember when we were eating mostly rice and beans, I was so grateful that we had the option of like
Right.
5 to 10 different types of beans and
Right.
legumes.
And we had the garden going and everything. We had our kimchi in storage and everything. We weren't like running out of food, but our options were very limited. But still, I think we were both like super content and very grateful for the food that we were able to grow and were able to harvest and put away.
Yeah, I didn't think about how growing up on traditional Korean food actually did give me a huge advantage. I was raised on rice, seaweed,
Yeah.
and kimchi.
Yeah,
Those are things that do not need to be refrigerated.
right.
And actually, my mom grew up without refrigeration. She grew up in an off-grid homestead back then in rural Korea.
Just how people lived.
That was just regular living. And actually, I always kind of yearned to live in that way, and I guess we're doing that now.
Right.
So yeah, overall, I'd say if this kind of lifestyle calls to you, if anything calls to you, don't ignore that feeling and take little steps to get towards those big dreams. I really think that anything can be accomplished through slow and steady training of your body and mind. And yeah, you never know where your path will take you, but just take the first step now with whatever you have.
Well, guys, if you have any other questions, make sure you leave them in the comments. But I am Paul
I'm Grace.
from Easy Acres Homestead. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. In the meantime, y'all be well and be easy.